Have you ever felt like something is missing, but you can't quite explain it? A strange silence, a hollow space in your heart. Like a part of you was once full, but is now painfully empty. That's the kind of emptiness she feels without you. It's not just the absence of a person, it's the absence of warmth, of connection, of something that made life feel complete. She wakes up in the morning, reaching for her phone without even thinking. For a second, she expects to see a message from you. A simple good morning, the way you used to send. But there's nothing. Just an empty screen staring back at her, reminding her of the silence you left behind. She tells herself not to care, not to overthink. But the truth is, your absence is louder than any words you could ever say. You see, when someone truly matters, their presence becomes a part of your world. It's not just about the words they say or the things they do, it's about the feeling they bring. The comfort of knowing someone understands you. The certainty that no matter how chaotic life gets, there's one person who makes everything feel right. And when that person is gone, the world doesn't just continue as usual. It feels different, distant, incomplete. She tries to distract herself, filling her days with noise and movement. Work, social media, endless scrolling, anything to keep her mind from wandering back to you. But in those quiet moments, when everything slows down, the emptiness returns, and it hits harder than before, because that's when she realizes you're not there. And no matter how much she tries to push it away, your absence lingers like a shadow she can't escape. The places you used to go together, the songs you used to listen to, the inside jokes only the two of you understood, they all carry traces of you. She pretends they don't affect her, but deep down they do. Because love isn't something you can just erase. It doesn't disappear overnight, it stays, it echoes, it reminds. And the hardest part, it's not just the missing, it's the uncertainty. She wonders if you feel it too, if you ever stop in the middle of your day and think about her. If you ever hear a song and remember the way she used to smile when it played. If you ever reach for your phone, just like she does, and hesitate before deciding not to text. The not knowing, that's what hurts the most. But here's the thing. When a woman truly misses you, it's not just because she's lonely. It's because you meant something, because you brought something into her life that no one else could. And no matter how much time passes, that feeling doesn't just disappear. It lingers in the quiet, in the memories, in the spaces between moments where she wishes you were still there. Now, ask yourself, if she's feeling this way, if she's missing you this much, what does it mean? Does it mean you still hold a place in her heart? Does it mean there's something unfinished between you? Or is it simply a reminder of how powerful true connection really is? Maybe she'll reach out, or maybe she won't. Maybe she's waiting for you to make the first move. But one thing is certain, right now, at this very moment, she's thinking about you. And that's not something that happens by accident. There's something unexplainable about a deep connection. It's not just about love, attraction, or shared memories. It's something bigger, something that exists beyond words, beyond time, beyond logic. It's the invisible force that makes someone irreplaceable. And when that connection is broken, when the person who once felt like home is suddenly gone, the emptiness isn't just emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual. That's what she's feeling right now. The absence of something she never imagined losing, a space in her soul that only one person can fill, you. She's tried to shake it off, tried to convince herself that life goes on, and maybe on the surface it does, but deep down her heart tells a different story. A story of longing, of questions left unanswered, of emotions too strong to fade away. No matter how much she tries to push them down, they rise back up, again and again. Because when two souls truly connect, they don't just walk away from each other. They leave imprints, energy, a part of themselves that stays even when everything else is gone. That's why she still feels you even in your absence. That's why no matter how much she distracts herself, your presence lingers in her mind. Science calls it emotional bonding. Psychology explains it as attachment. But to the heart, it's something much deeper. It's the reason why no one else can replace you. The reason why she can be surrounded by people yet still feel alone. Because connection isn't about proximity, it's about meaning. And when something has meaning, it doesn't fade away just because circumstances change. Think about it. Have you ever been in a crowded room but felt disconnected? Have you ever been around friends, laughing, talking, living life, but deep down, there was still a part of you that felt incomplete? That's because true connection isn't about how many people are around you. It's about who truly understands you, who sees you, who feels you, and for her, that person was you. That's why she still remembers the little things, the way you spoke, the way you laughed, the way you made her feel, even in the smallest moments. That's why she still catches herself staring at her phone, hoping just for a second that your name will appear. That's why she still replays old conversations in her head, wondering if there was something she missed, something she could have said or done differently. Because when someone truly connects with you, they don't just miss you, they crave you, your presence, your energy, the way you made their world feel different. And that's where she is right now, caught between the memories of what was and the reality of what is, torn between the pride that tells her to move on and the heart that refuses to let go. Every part of her wants to believe that time will make this easier, that one day she'll wake up and not feel this weight in her chest. But the truth is, time doesn't erase real connections. It only reminds you how rare they are. So what happens now? Does she reach out? Does she wait? Or does she keep pretending that she's fine, hoping that someday the ache will fade? One thing is certain, right now she feels something deeper than words can describe, a longing that no distraction can erase. And if you feel it too, maybe, just maybe, this connection isn't meant to be forgotten. She won't always say it. She won't let the world see the weight she carries. She may smile, laugh, even pretend everything is fine, but deep inside, there's a silence filled with words she's never spoken, emotions she's never admitted. Because missing someone isn't always loud. It's often quiet, buried beneath the surface, hidden behind a mask of strength. She tells herself it's just a phase, that she'll wake up one day and the ache will be gone. But emotions don't follow logic. Feelings don't fade just because we tell them to. And when someone has touched your soul in a way no one else has, their absence doesn't just leave a gap. It leaves an open wound. She carries it with her in the way she hesitates before speaking your name, in the way she avoids places that remind her of you, in the way her chest tightens when she hears something that sounds like your voice. She tells herself to move forward, to forget. But forgetting isn't a choice when something is carved into your heart. And it's not just about missing you. It's about everything that comes with it. The questions that never stop, the regrets that haunt her late at night, the what ifs that play on repeat in her mind. What if she had done things differently? What if she had said the right words at the right time? What if she had shown you in ways she didn't before just how much you meant to her? This is the pain of missing someone deeply, not just the loss of their presence, but the uncertainty of what could have been, the endless thoughts that never find answers, the longing that refuses to fade. But the hardest part, it's knowing that life keeps moving, that the world doesn't stop just because she's hurting, that no matter how much she aches for what was, time won't rewind and the past won't change. So she carries the pain in silence, hoping that one day it will become just a memory, hoping that one day she'll look back and smile instead of ache. But deep down, she knows the truth. Some connections aren't meant to be forgotten. Some people aren't meant to be replaced. And no matter how much she tries to convince herself otherwise, you are one of them. She tells herself to let go, to move forward, to stop waiting for something that may never come back. Logic whispers that she should forget, that life doesn't stop for anyone, that holding on to something that isn't there will only bring pain. And yet her heart refuses to listen, because the heart doesn't work like the mind. It doesn't respond to reason. It doesn't understand time or distance. It only knows what it feels. And right now it feels the weight of your absence like a storm she can't escape. She wakes up determined to forget, but then anything pulls her back. A memory, a scent, a phrase someone says that reminds her of the way you used to talk. And suddenly she's right back where she started, trapped between what she knows and what she feels. She tries to convince herself that she's okay, that she doesn't care anymore, that she's strong enough to keep moving forward. But no matter how many times she repeats those words, they don't reach the part of her that still aches for you. This is the battle she fights every day, the war between her heart and her mind. One tells her to let go, the other holds on with everything it has. And the worst part, neither side ever truly wins. She doesn't want to admit that she misses you this much, that she still wonders what could have been, that despite everything, a part of her still believes that maybe, just maybe, you think about her too. So she keeps herself busy, drowning in distractions, pretending that life has moved on. But the truth is, the pain of missing someone doesn't always come in waves. Sometimes it's a quiet ache that lingers beneath the surface, a constant reminder of what once was. And the hardest part isn't just the missing, it's the not knowing. Does she still cross your mind? Do you ever feel the same pull, the same lingering thoughts that won't let go? Or has she become nothing more than a fading memory in your past? These are the questions that haunt her, the thoughts that keep her up at night. And no matter how much she tries to silence them, they always return, because when someone has truly touched your soul, when they become a part of your story in a way no one else has, forgetting them isn't just hard, it's impossible. She knows she should move on. She knows life doesn't wait. But knowing something and feeling something are two very different things. And right now she's trapped between them, caught in a space where the past still feels too real to let go. But maybe she doesn't have to. Maybe some connections aren't meant to be erased. Maybe some people aren't meant to be forgotten. Maybe, just maybe, you feel it too. There are moments she can't escape. The way you used to look at her, as if she was the only person in the world. The sound of your voice, carrying a warmth that no one else could replicate. The way your presence made even the simplest moments feel extraordinary. These memories don't just visit her, they haunt her. They appear in the quiet spaces, in the pauses between conversations, in the stillness of the night when her mind refuses to rest. She tries to convince herself that these are just memories, that they no longer hold power over her. But deep down, she knows the truth. Some moments are too powerful to fade. They etch themselves into the soul, becoming a part of who you are, refusing to be erased by time or distance. She remembers the last time you laughed together, the way happiness filled the air like it would last forever. She remembers the way you said her name like it had meaning beyond the letters that formed it. And she remembers the way you made her feel safe, understood, seen. But now, those moments are nothing more than echoes, and echoes have a way of reminding you of what you've lost. She wonders if you ever feel it too, the weight of what was, the pull of something unfinished. Do you ever hear a song and feel that sudden pang in your chest? Do you ever walk past a place and find yourself lost in a memory, reliving a moment that no longer exists? Do you ever wish you could go back just for a second, just to feel it all again? Because for her, it's not just about missing you, it's about missing the version of herself that existed when she was with you. The version that felt alive, that felt understood, that felt like she belonged somewhere. That's the hardest part of losing someone you truly care about. You don't just lose them, you lose a part of yourself too. And no matter how much she tries to move forward, there are pieces of you that still live within her, in the way she speaks, in the way she sees the world, in the way she loves. Because love, real love, doesn't just disappear. It lingers, it stays, it waits. But the question is, will you? She doesn't always need to hear your voice to feel your presence. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words ever could, and right now that silence is deafening. She sits with it, trying to decipher what it means. Is it distance? Is it pride? Or is it fear? Fear that reaching out would only make the pain worse. The absence of words between you isn't just emptiness, it's filled with unspoken emotions, unsent messages, and thoughts that never made it past her lips. Because the truth is, people don't stop caring overnight. They don't just wake up one day and forget. If anything, silence is often a sign of struggle, of unresolved feelings too heavy to carry, yet too precious to let go of completely. And she feels it all. The weight of what was left unsaid, the tension between moving on and holding on, the unshaken belief that, despite everything, something between you still lingers. She wonders if you feel it too. If you ever stare at your phone, fingers hovering over the keyboard, debating whether to type that one message that could change everything. If you ever find yourself lost in thought, missing the way things used to be, but unsure if you have the strength to revisit what once was. Maybe you both are waiting for the other to break the silence, waiting for a sign that it's okay to feel again, waiting for confirmation that this connection wasn't just real, but that it still exists, despite the distance, despite the time. But waiting is dangerous. Because the longer silence lasts, the more doubt creeps in. The more fear takes over, the more the mind convinces the heart that it was never meant to be. And yet, if it was never meant to be, why does it still feel so unfinished? Why does she still catch herself whispering your name in the quietest moments? Why does she still hold on to the hope, however small, that maybe, just maybe, you miss her too? There's a certain kind of pain that comes with unfinished stories. The kind that lingers in the spaces between what was and what could have been. The kind that doesn't offer closure, only questions. She never thought you would become a question mark in her life. You were supposed to be a certainty, a chapter that made sense, a story that had an ending, not one that faded into silence. And yet here she is, carrying the weight of a book with pages left unwritten. She replays it all in her mind, searching for the moment when everything shifted. Was it something she said, something she didn't? Was it a slow unraveling or a sudden break? The truth is, most endings don't come with clear answers. They just happen. And that's what hurts the most. Knowing that something so meaningful could slip away without a final word, without a proper goodbye. But even though the story remains unfinished, its impact is undeniable. Because not all love is meant to last forever. Some love comes to awaken something inside of us, to change us, to teach us. And she knows deep in her heart that you did. She isn't the same person she was before you. You left your mark on her in ways she never expected, in the way she sees the world, in the way she feels emotions more deeply, in the way she understands the beauty and the ache of true connection. You were more than just someone she cared about, you were someone who shaped her. And that's why forgetting isn't an option, because you weren't just a passing moment. You were a part of her story, a part that still beats inside her heart no matter how much time has passed. But what if this story isn't meant to be forgotten? What if unfinished doesn't mean over? What if the words left unspoken are waiting for the courage to be said? Because some stories don't end. Some stories pause, waiting for the right time, the right moment, the right hearts to find their way back to each other. And maybe, just maybe, this is one of them. She has thought about it more times than she can count. Picking up her phone, typing out a message, pressing send. It should be simple, just a few words, just a moment of courage. But her hands hesitate, her mind races, and her heart stops her before she can even begin. Because what if she's the only one who still feels this way? What if her message is met with silence? What if the version of you she's been missing no longer exists? Fear is a powerful thing. It convinces you that rejection is worse than regret, that silence is better than disappointment, that some doors are meant to stay closed even when every part of you is begging to open them. And so she waits. She lets the doubt win. She convinces herself that if you wanted to reach out, you would have. That if you missed her the way she misses you, she wouldn't be the only one stuck in this war between her heart and her pride. But deep down, she knows she isn't alone in this. She knows that human connection doesn't just fade without a trace. That the kind of bond you shared doesn't just disappear without leaving something behind. She wonders if you've been fighting the same battle. If you've stared at your phone, debating whether to send a message, only to let hesitation steal the moment. If you've convinced yourself that too much time has passed, that the distance is too great, that the past is better left untouched. But the truth is, time doesn't erase emotions. It only buries them under layers of doubt and unspoken words. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to take that first step. So she asks herself, what's worse, the fear of not knowing or the regret of never trying? Because one day, the chance to reach out might be gone. One day the window might close forever, and the pain of wondering what could have been will always be heavier than the fear of a moment of vulnerability. Maybe she'll never send that message. Maybe she'll keep waiting, hoping that you'll be the one to break the silence. Or maybe, just maybe, she'll choose courage over fear. Because some connections are worth the risk, and deep down she hopes you feel the same. She tells herself to move on, to silence the thoughts, to stop wondering about the impossible. But no matter how much she tries, the what-ifs never leave her. They follow her like a shadow, appearing in the quietest moments, whispering questions she doesn't have the answers to. What if she had just said something sooner? What if she had swallowed her pride and reached out? What if you were waiting for a sign, just like she was? And because neither of you made a move, something beautiful slipped away. The weight of an unfinished story isn't just in the silence. It's in the endless possibilities that were never explored. It's in the moments that could have happened but never did. It's in the words that were meant to be spoken but remained locked inside a hesitant heart. She tries to shake the feeling, to tell herself that life moves forward, that some connections are only meant for a season. But then in the middle of an ordinary day, a memory hits her, a scent, a song, a place, and suddenly she's right back there, standing in the past, feeling it all over again. That's the thing about real emotions. They don't obey time. They don't fade just because you tell them to. They exist beneath the surface, waiting for a single trigger to bring them back to life. And maybe, just maybe, that means something. Maybe feelings that refuse to fade aren't meant to be ignored. Maybe thoughts that won't leave aren't just random, they're reminders. Reminders that some people come into your life for a reason. Reminders that some stories don't truly end even when it seems like they have. But the question remains, will she do something about it? Or will she let the what-ifs pile up until they turn into a regret she can never undo? Because one day she'll look back, and the pain of wondering what could have been will always be heavier than the fear of finding out. Regret is a quiet ache at first, a small whisper in the back of the mind, easily dismissed, easily ignored. But as time passes, it grows louder. It doesn't shout, it lingers, pressing itself into the spaces between thoughts, surfacing at unexpected moments, reminding her of everything she didn't do. She wonders if you feel it too. If there are nights when you stare at the ceiling, asking yourself the same questions. If you ever feel that sudden rush of nostalgia that comes out of nowhere, the kind that makes your chest tighten and your breath catch for just a second. Because regret isn't always about what we did. Sometimes the deepest kind of regret comes from what we didn't do. The words left unspoken, the chances we didn't take, the moments we let slip away because we were too afraid, too stubborn, too uncertain. She knows life moves forward, people change, circumstances shift, but the heart doesn't measure time the way the mind does. It doesn't operate on logic, on dates, on endings. It holds on to what matters, even when the world insists it's time to let go. And so she wonders, how long before the weight of this regret becomes unbearable? How long before she finally breaks the silence? Before she stops letting fear win? Or will she wait until it's too late? Until one day she realizes that the chance she thought would always be there is gone. Because nothing haunts a person more than the words they never said. And if she doesn't speak now, she may spend a lifetime wishing she had. There comes a point where hesitation turns into a choice, where waiting becomes an answer in itself, where silence speaks louder than words ever could. She stands at the edge of that moment now, the moment where she either gives in to fear or rises above it, the moment where she either lets regret define her or takes back control. Because life is not kind to those who wait too long. Life moves, with or without you. And the cruelest part, it doesn't pause for second chances. It doesn't slow down to let you fix what you should have mended yesterday. She knows this. She feels it in every heartbeat that aches for closure, in every night spent lost in memories, in every morning that begins with a name she no longer says out loud. And yet, she still hesitates. Because what if she's already lost you? What if reaching out only confirms what she fears most, that she's too late? But then a different thought creeps in. A thought far heavier than rejection. What if she never tries at all? Because at least if she reaches out, she will know. At least if she speaks, she will have given herself the chance to rewrite this story. But if she stays silent, if she lets time take you further and further away, she will never know what could have been. And that is the kind of pain that never heals. So she breathes in deeply, she silences the fear, and with trembling fingers she makes a choice. A choice that may change everything or nothing. But at least she will no longer live with the weight of never knowing. Her hands hover over the screen, her heart pounding in her chest. Just a few words. That's all it takes. A message, a call, a sign that she hasn't let this slip through her fingers. But hesitation creeps in. Doubt whispers, what if he doesn't answer? What if he has moved on? What if this message is too little too late? The weight of uncertainty presses down, but there's something stronger pushing against it. A voice deep inside reminding her that she has already lost too much time to fear. That the worst pain is not rejection, it's regret. She types a few words, erases them, starts again. Every letter feels heavy, like it carries the weight of everything left unsaid. Everything she was too afraid to express before. This isn't just a message. It's an unspoken apology, a quiet confession, a bridge stretching across the silence. It's proof that she still cares, that you still matter, that despite the distance, the memories, the unresolved emotions, she hasn't forgotten. Because when someone truly means something to you, silence is never peace. It's a war inside the heart, a battle between pride and love, between fear and hope. She knows she may not get the response she wants. She knows this could go unanswered, ignored, brushed aside. But she also knows this. Doing nothing will never bring her closer to you, so she does the only thing she can. She presses send. And now, for the first time in a long time, she allows herself to hope. The message is out there now. No more second guessing, no more rewriting, no more hesitating. It exists beyond her control, sitting in your inbox, waiting. And now she waits too. Minutes stretch into eternity. She watches the screen, resisting the urge to check and recheck. She tells herself not to expect an instant reply, but her heart doesn't listen. Every second feels heavier than the last. What if you never respond? What if she misread everything? What if you've already erased her from your life? Doubt twists inside her, threatening to steal the fragile hope she just found the courage to hold on to. But beneath the fear, there's something stronger, an undeniable truth she can no longer ignore. She sent that message not just because she missed you, but because she needed to know. Needed to break the silence that had caged her for too long. Needed to find out if she was alone in this longing, or if, somewhere deep inside, you had been waiting too. Because real connections don't just fade. They linger in the quiet, in the moments between distractions, in the spaces where nostalgia seeps in. And maybe you felt it too. Maybe you've had your own nights of wondering, your own moments of hesitation, your own battle between pride and the part of you that still cares. So now the question isn't whether she should have reached out. It's whether you'll let this message be the spark that reignites what was lost, or whether you'll leave her waiting forever. The screen stays silent, no vibration, no notification, no response. She tells herself it's fine. Maybe you're busy. Maybe you haven't seen it yet. Maybe you need time. But the minutes turn into hours. The hours turn into a hollow ache. And with every passing moment, reality starts whispering a truth she doesn't want to face. Maybe you're not going to answer. Maybe you saw the message, felt the weight of it, and decided to let it sit there, unled, unacknowledged, untouched. And that realization, it cuts deeper than she expected. Because she built up so much courage to send those words. She battled through fear, silenced her doubts, swallowed her pride. She was ready for any answer, except this: silence. It's a strange kind of pain, isn't it? The pain of knowing that someone has the power to acknowledge you, to ease your uncertainty, to offer even a single word that could bring closure, and yet they choose not to. She wonders what you felt when you saw her name appear on your screen. Did your heart skip a beat the way hers did when she sent it? Did memories rush back for you too? Or did you sigh, shake your head, and lock your phone without a second thought? Maybe you don't care anymore. Maybe you've moved on. Maybe the story she held on to was only ever real in her own heart. But deep down, she knows this: if you truly cared, you wouldn't leave her waiting in the dark. Because silence is an answer too. And sometimes it speaks louder than any words ever could.